am going to front load this by sharing with you of the many things that I have done in my career. One of them is being a school teacher. So what that means for you today is that I will call on you. I want you to participate. Do not leave me standing up here in my home office all by myself trying to engage you. That will hurt my feelings. So I am going to be asking some questions, and I want you to flex your fingers, get ready and live in the chat, because I want to make this engaging. So that is the first part of this. The second ask that I have for you is, look, this is a live session tailored for you. I want to make this about you. Let's use your examples and talk about your business and how we can talk about the strategy for you to grow. So with that being said, I am going to ask you to drop in the chat. I already have Catherine in there. Thank you for your participation. Gold star. Tell me, what is it that you are most looking forward to getting out of this session? I'm going to give everybody a minute to flex your fingers and warm up your keyboards as you drop some things in. And I am going to get started with sharing here. And sorry about this. Let me make this prettier. There we go. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how do you do more marketing with less time and less money. Let's be honest, as startup founders, you are used to doing things with less time and less money because you're wearing 1,000 hats anyhow. But in the space of this current economic climate, perhaps looming recession, it's going to be more vital than ever before. So we are going to talk about, how do you double down on the things that are going to be impactful for your business? How do you automate those things so that way you are able to expand your impact and your influence? And how do you end up converting these to customers? I see some questions here around leveraging HubSpot for lead gen. Absolutely. This session is also going to be more about talking about the general principles, and you can absolutely do all of these things through HubSpot, but you don't have to be on HubSpot to do them. So I just want to give you some of that. I see some HubSpot users already on there. Yes. Cost-effective marketing for a brand new startup. Absolutely. And key priorities to focus on. Totally. So we are going to get to all of these things. And let's jump into our next piece. So a little bit about knowing a bit about our program and what HubSpot does, so you understand what is the context for this session. So HubSpot for Startups is a 3-tiered program. The first part is education, resources, and training. So sessions like this. A lot of us are technical founders, or you have a passion, but that doesn't mean that you're an expert in sales, marketing, SEO, operations, the 500 hats that you need to wear. So we think that tools are great. We obviously love our tool, but we think knowing the strategy of how to scale and how to grow and build, that's what's going to really help you to be able to take off. And we're invested in that success with you. So that's the first part. The second part is that in partnership with great partners like Startup Grind, you are able to access anywhere from 30 to 90% off our product. And our product, if you are not aware, it's a free CRM with a sales hub, marketing hub, service hub, ops hub, CMS hub, and 1,100 integrations. Massive. So if you were to take kind of the core pieces of, let's say, Salesforce, Marketo, Calendly, Zendesk, Hootsuite, MailChimp, roll them into one, add a few things, that's what we do. So, and then the last piece of that is that you are able to access the full growth suite, the education, the resources, and all of our associated partner discounts at a lower price. So that's a little bit about HubSpot. We also have a venture arm for those of you that are looking to raise, a couple of different programs that we'll jump into, but we're a little bit behind. So I'm going to dive right into the agenda. And yes, Startup Grind is a partner, and you are able to take advantage of the HubSpot program. So Walter will drop in the links to be able to apply a couple times within this chat, so that way you know how. Okay, let's talk about our agenda. We're going to talk first about how do you adapt during an economic downturn? How do you create your buyer persona? So a couple of you talked about like, how do I target my right customers? How do I grow my brand? This is how we're going to do it. How do you generate awareness? It's great to have a brand and a business. How do you get people to know about you? And also a tidbit of how this drops into your SEO strategy. A lot of people are not sure where to start. A couple of you asked about priorities. We're going to delve into that. Crafting your message. Once you get them aware of you, once you get them to your website, how do you actually convert them? Then how do you automate that whole process? And then how do you know that it's working? Then we're going to have a few minutes for Q&A. It's an ambitious agenda, but I'm a fast talker. And I hope that you guys are ready to learn, listen, and jump in. All right. So what do I know about this? And why should I even talk on this? I know you're not here to hear about me, but a little bit of background. As I said, I started my career as a teacher. I loved educating. I loved being able to upskill. And then I moved from that into running intervention programs for at-risk youth in middle and high school. And with that, I was essentially launching a different startup partnership in a different school every single year, building out those partnerships, building out a program. I really enjoyed that. And then I decided to go get my MBA, and I pivoted to work in the travel industry. And I helped a founder who had been around for 30 years scale their business into a multinational organization through sales and marketing processes. I love being a systems thinker and thinking about, as a founder, what are the things that only you can do? And then what are the things that you can delegate or automate? Because that's how you're going to enable. It's not just about scaling your business, it's about scaling yourself. So loved working for that founder, thought it was so great that I'm going to go found my own company. I went and did that. I founded Boston Juicing. We opened up 3 brick and mortar stores within a year. It was great. I also realized that this is not the industry that I wanted to scale in, sold to my co-founder, and then I was approached by HubSpot for Startups, where I get to do a little bit of everything that I love. I get to do education with cool folks like you, and I get to be able to upskill, work in partnerships, and share some of my insights about what I've learned along the way, what worked really well for me in HubSpot, and also where we might have fallen flat on our face. And I want you to know so you don't do the same. That is a little bit. We're going to move on from me, and we're going to talk about how to adapt your approach for the current environment. All right. It is no secret that this is not the easiest of times to be launching your business, but I have really good news for you, and that downturns can be an opportunity. I know that is the title of this conference, but I'm doubling down on the upside of downturns. And these are some of the companies that were started during an economic downturn. Google, Uber, Airbnb, WhatsApp, TaskRabbit, Groupon, HubSpot. These were all launched in 2008. Actually, Google, that was 2001. So a lot of these great companies are formed in bad markets because they have unique opportunities at this time. So Google was formed during the dot-com bust, and now iconic names like the ones that I've mentioned up here, they all got ground in their 2008-2009 recession. And then they subsequently flourished despite some bumps along the way. Can't promise you no bumps, but there is opportunity. So where are those opportunities? All right, business models that can offer opportunities to earn extra income or to help ends meet, they can really shine during this time. So a peer-to-peer marketplace, that's one of the strongest examples. For example, Uber in its early days was an alternative for drivers who might have otherwise entered the taxi industry. And the ride-hailing company helped people make up lost income during the 2008 recession, and then again during the COVID-19 pandemic. TaskRabbit, a marketplace for freelance labor. This was founded in 2008 and afforded an alternative to traditional employment. These types of marketplaces provided a lifeline to people that are dealing with layoffs and other unfortunate circumstances. And current emerging marketplaces in the startup world that I would encourage you to look out for are Turo, which is a car sharing marketplace, or Neighbor, which is a platform where people rent out extra space in their homes, in their garage for others to use as storage. And this may sound odd, but 15 years ago, people never expected to hail a ride from a stranger via their phone or to rent out their spare bedroom. But challenging times coupled with easy to access internet technology can be a catalyst for dramatic change in consumer behavior. Another opportunity is being able to provide a cheaper or easier alternative to a current product or service. So in many industries, the most sustainable, lower cost provider can capture the most market share over the long term. And this is especially true when times get tough. So post-recession Airbnb, founded in 2008, provided a cheaper alternative to the standard hotel. And in addition to helping property owners earn more income, a 2016 study by Morgan Stanley found that 49% of Airbnb users use this service instead of staying in a hotel, and the top reason for doing that was price. So similarly, in the e-commerce space, Warby Parker, founded in 2010, made it easy to purchase an affordable pair of fashionable eyeglasses online. Another opportunity is freemium. So freemium revenue models are effective go-to-market strategies, especially during tough times. So in 2008, HubSpot, which started as a free CRM and marketing platform, saw business cut back spending on many different types of marketing. And our response? Give our service away for free, or at least up to 1 million contacts, stored customer contacts in our account. But this is small plug, our CRM and the base level of all of our software, sales, marketing, service, ops, and CMS, all have a free hub. So no reason to not jump on and start saving. But we were able to, using this freemium strategy, we offer a portion of our services for free, and then we charge more for some of the larger deployments or added features. And this was a really new concept at the time, but is very popular in tech business today. And the strategy worked. 7 years later, we IPO'd. We're over a $1 billion business. We're one of the top MarTech platforms in the world. I'm going to double down on this strategy. Okay. Other opportunities. So durable businesses provide sticky, mission-driven software. So software has become an essential part of almost every business and industry. But the most powerful software products are the ones that customers rely on to perform a critical business function and that they use daily, like a core system of record. And this is why HubSpot has remained resilient in recessions. And even unprecedented economic times like COVID, we thrived. So these are sticky products that users don't want to give up, even in times of cost cutting. And for this reason, startups that are offering products on a subscription basis, often long-term enterprise contacts, do really well during these tough economic times. And businesses whose products produce some sort of a network effect, meaning they become more valuable as more people use them, they have a greater advantage. These offerings include SaaS-enabled marketplaces that aggregate a scattered supply, such as labor or materials in a given industry. Or they could be consumer applications, like the communication platform WhatsApp, which was founded in 2009. So users of this service have an incentive to join and stay on the platform because their peers are also here. And it's unclear how the economy will fare in the coming months. And some tech startups may have an advantage if a recession appears. The executives who are able to persevere and make tough strategic decisions will always have a better shot at success in the end. All right, so what are your 4 first steps here? First of all, listen to your customers intently and make sure that you've got something that's worth the pain that's coming. If you haven't started monetizing, you need to find a business unit, a business model with sustainable unit economics. And it doesn't need to be a perfect model. Don't get lost in the spreadsheets. 80-20 will get you there, but do start making money. Revenue is the best source of financing that you can look to in the near term. And if you're already monetizing, think hard about how do you grow that reoccurring revenue? Is it lowering entry points to add users, which will work if churn is low, but can kill you faster if churn is high? Or is it moving up market and or solving problems for higher paying clients? Lastly, pretty obviously, you want to adjust your expenses for the current environment. And then you also want to be thinking about your marketing during this time. A lot of you might think, okay, I'm cutting back. This is time to scale back. But if you scale back on marketing, you're going to scale back on the leads that are coming to your business. This is your revenue. So when a recession looms, you want to do the opposite. You want to lean in. You want to create sustainable and ongoing demand for your product and solution. And we're going to show you how to do that through an inbound marketing approach. All right. Hopefully everybody is still with me. Okay. I see some people in the chat. Let's go. All right. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about inbound. Drop in the chat, who knows about inbound? If any of you attended our 30,000 something person conference, inbound last month, you know about it. But if you know about inbound, drop in the chat, let me know. All right, I see some yeses in here. Okay, Kendra, let's go. So inbound methodology, if you're not aware, traditional outbound marketing is cold calling you at dinner time to try and sell you a product. It is spam emails. It is pop-ups that are blocking your screen. All of these are annoying. And we've actually gotten really good at tuning these out because they're interruptive sales techniques that nobody likes. What we have done instead is that HubSpot has coined the term inbound, which means that we create content to bring people in. So inbound leads convert at a much higher rate. 80% of HubSpot's leads are inbound. And it's because we think deeply about the questions that our customers have. What are they trying to solve for? We create content to be able to answer that, like sessions like this. We help to educate, pull you in, and then this is how you learn about HubSpot. So at the point when you are ready to convert to a CRM, to your sales, marketing, etc., then we'll be on your mind. So it's the same type of approach that you want to create with your business. You want to be a helpful friend rather than an annoying phone call. So we're going to talk a bit about how to do that. Okay, so we're going to start a little bit high level. We're going to start with some basics, and then we're going to delve really deeply into some tactical strategies. And those of you that are just joining me, look, get ready. You're going to have to participate because I have questions for you. So first of all, a lot of you wanted to know about how do I actually generate interest in my site, in my website, in my product. So virtual show of hands, you're in your office by yourself probably. You can put your hands up. So who believes that SEO is important? Hopefully all of you. You want to get found online. And who is, who has a website? Drop into the chat. Let me know if you have a website. If you feel like a little self-promotion, drop your website in. Let me see it. That's question number one. Darshan's already on it. All right. Jackie, already on it. Now, tell me, do you know how you're getting leads off your website? A lot of us, we put that website up, okay? Winsome does. How are you getting leads off your website? How are people converting? Let me know. I told you I'm going to call on people. And a lot of this, so I'm going to give people, a moment to answer. But when you build your website, we like to think like, okay, I built my website, they will come. But it's a really big list. So you want to think about how you're generating awareness across three main channels: your organic search, your social media, and your ads. And you want to be giving people opportunities to be able to convert on your website. Then you also want to be thinking about, how do you automate the close and hand off to sales? It's not just enough to have those leads, but you have to be able to act on them fast. And if you take a step back, a lot of these questions, especially around prioritization, they all rely on who is our customer, because our goal as marketers is to find customers that are a good fit for your business. Okay. I am looking in the chat. Andre has an answer for me. So it looks like, okay, you're doing some inbound content yourself. You're creating some free programs to help startups be able to reach out to you. Okay, cool. So jumping into a little bit about our persona development. Now, you need to think deeply about who are your customers. And look, as a former founder myself, when I see persona development and things like this, my eyes would glaze over because I was like, okay, this is really basic. My customers, whoever's going to buy from me, just move on. There's more to it than that, I promise you. So you want to think about, who are you selling to? What are their problems and pain points? And then you want to create that like, oh my God moment to make them feel understood. And a lot of these questions really rely on like who your customer is. So for example, I ran a juice bar. My customer could be anybody that has a mouth, because anybody can drink juice. But at the end of the day, I wanted to narrow that down. And when I'm working with my social media strategy, I'll give you an example, like Facebook, you can create such specific audiences that I can have active working moms within a 3-mile radius that speak French and own a pug. you can get that granular. You maybe not want to get that granular, but you can. So you want to think about, what is that pain point? Who are you trying to solve for? And when should this epiphany happen that they need your service? Where are they going to see that? When would you like this realization to happen? So I'm going to start asking you, I'm going to give you some really high level about buyer persona. And then I'm going to ask you to delve in and tell me a little bit more about your buyer. So what is a buyer persona? Really fast, if you are not aware. A buyer persona is a semi-fictional, generalized human representation of your ideal customer. The key point here is you are not your ideal persona. It is not your mom, your sister, your brother, your husband, or your wife. You need to be thinking a little bit broader. And this is made up of demographic and psychographic information. So demographics being age, location, employment, and the psychographic is their motivations, their goals, their challenges, and what those pain points are. So why do we actually create this? Why do we take the time out of our busy day wearing 500 hats to be able to create something around a buyer persona? So it helps you create targeted content. So when we talk about inbound, it's knowing that buyer persona helps you to figure out what problems are they solving for and how can I create content that speaks to that. It also means that it helps us to attract the right people to our website. Not all customers are good customers. Some customers will take more time, more money, and more resources out of you than they are worth. So know who's your ideal persona. Also know your anti-persona. These are the people that it's great if they come to you, but you're not going to reach out to them intentionally. And you want to be able to create content to solve the problems and challenges of this persona. So I am going to ask for you to flex your fingers, warm up your keyboards, and I want to know, who is your buyer persona? Tell me I'm looking for the most detailed buyer persona that you can put in here. So tell me exactly who they are. What pain point are you solving for? This is your moment to shine. We have 40 attendees in there. Everybody's going to see who your target market is. Come on. I'm going to give you a minute to start typing in there, and I'm going to keep it moving, and I'm going to come back to it. So hoping to see some participation. I'm going to give you an example of who HubSpot's core personas are. So there are many, but let's start with Marketing Michelle and Growth Gary. All right. Now, looking in the chat. Come on, guys. Get it moving. So Marketing Michelle, let's start with her. This is a buyer persona. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first saw this at HubSpot, I was like, wow, how do you possibly get that granular about your buyer? And I can answer a little bit about that. Also, we have some great buyer persona creation tools that we have in the references that we can drop into the chat here too. So when you are deciding, I'm looking at Marketing Michelle here. So Marketing Michelle, she thinks that HubSpot is a great tool, but it requires work, and she needs to know, if she's going to put in the work. So she values HubSpot because she's gotten burned in the past, and earning credibility is easy since we know that she was using, several different tools that are similar to what we use, different freemium tools, Spotify, etc. We know that this is the way that she likes to purchase. And when we look at Marketing Michelle, our tool is not about, getting a cool new feature that's going to make your day easier. Like, yes, it will. That's great. But for Marketing Michelle, it's more about how does implementing this tool help her to grow her career and help to position her as a leader. So be thinking about, like, what is that deeper need that we are solving for? And then you want to be thinking about, how do they actually purchase and try and buy your tools? If you're putting the best content in places that they don't find it, it is not useful and it is not helpful. So when deciding what type of content you want to make, you have to put it where they're going to find it. And that's when you go back to this persona. You have to speak to their pain, and you have to figure out, how do they actually like to buy? Do they digest from a podcast? Are they people who are looking on blogs? Are they on social media? Match how you are selling with how they are buying or how they are researching. And this is better than trying to make a strategy out of something that's further out of your control. And we'll share free resource for the buyer creation on HubSpot. And you can use this as a test when you're talking to customers. But talk to your customers, ask questions. Say, okay, if you found this piece of content helpful, when do you wish that you would have learned it? Who do you wish would have told you? Where would you have liked to have found it? And what would you have done if you knew that this was possible? So think about these questions, poll your audience, make sure that you are continually getting feedback because this customer persona should evolve. And think about what questions that they are asking so you can create content to answer these and put it where they are going to find it. All right. We are going to jump along to talking about how do you generate awareness? This is a huge question that we get a lot. So we've already talked about, I see in a couple of websites that you have up and running. Do you know what percentage of your traffic comes from organic, from social, which channels convert the best? Drop into the chat, let me know. All right, we have 40 people in there. You all got keyboards. Let me know. Okay, emails. That's one of the ways that you're getting traffic to your website. Great. Do we know how much of your website traffic is social? How much of it's organic? It's okay if you're not entirely sure, but we have this mentality that if we build it, they will come. And sometimes that happens, but oftentimes it doesn't. So you need to build valuable content to bring them to us. This is the concept of inbound. And you want to make sure that you are creating this content in the channels that mean the most to them. So how does your startup actually get found? When we think about search, we think about Google, of course. So there has been some big changes in how search operates. So it used to be all about keywords, right? If I wanted to know, for example, in the past, if I wanted to know the abbreviations for all 50 states, I would type in state abbreviations, just the keyword. Now we're having a lot more conversational search because my Google, my Alexa, my Siri, I don't know, they're probably all listening to me right now, but I'm asking them questions like, hey, Google, can you find the abbreviations for all 50 states? So we're having much more conversational queries. And what that's meant is that over the last 2 to 3 years, Google has focused on understanding these types of queries better. And there's a new search algorithm that focuses on analyzing phrases instead of relying on keywords. Now, what does this mean for you? This means that there was a major shift from keyword-focused SEO to strategy to on topic-focused SEO. So where a few years ago, owning 10 to 20 keywords was enough to be able to rank within a topic, now there are hundreds and thousands of long tail variations that are regularly searched within the topic. So dominating a few keywords is no longer enough to be able to produce. You have to double down on who is your persona to figure out what questions they are actually asking and how. So let's say that we are in the CRM space. It costs a lot of money to be able to own the word CRM in search. And just owning that keyword is not going to be enough. But if I know that Marketing Michelle is, if I know where she's searching, I know the types of language she uses, which you will get through doing more research, I could say, okay, what is the best CRM for a marketing professional? I could own that phrase. Owning that phrase and ranking number one in that phrase actually isn't that expensive. So the more that you know your buyer persona, the more that you can hone in on those long tail keyword variations, those long tail search queries, and then you can rank number one in a topic for very little money, simply because you know your persona really well. Okay. Now, there's also been 3 other major shifts in the way that search has happened. So the first is a shift from answers to journeys. So we know that you don't plan your vacation to Costa Rica in one sitting. Google has created an activity card that will help you pick up where you left off in search. When you revisit a query related to a topic that you searched in the past, it will show you a card with the relevant pages that you've already visited and previous queries that you've already done on the topic. Really helpful. However, can kind of disproportionately weigh against new people on the market with new content. So you got to be thinking about this. The second piece is there's a shift from queries to providing a query-less way to get information. So Discover feed suggests content that's tailored for you. For example, if you're planning your next trip, Discover may show an article with the best places to eat and sights to see in San Jose. Obviously, I'm thinking about travel these days. And it helps that for you to be able to come across things that you haven't even yet started searching for. Maybe Google knows that you're going to search for lunch places every day around noon. So it's going to start to pop them up for you. This predictive piece of Google search is helpful, but kind of is not always as helpful for startups just starting out. And then the third shift is a shift from text to a more visual way of finding information. So now Google is using images and text behind those images to figure out, do you want a textual answer? Do you want a quiz? Do you want a shopping result, etc.? Google is trying to figure out not only what answer you want, but how you want that information to be displayed. And if you're thinking about your target persona, you not only need to know where do they go, how do they search, what are the words that they use, but do they want a visual answer or a textual one? And all of this also means that the authority of a web page is now a more important signal than ranking. So if you're doing a search for Costa Rican parks, it's not just going to show a photo from a photographer's page, it's going to show one from the Costa Rica National Parks website. So getting page authority is really important. I'm going to delve into a little dibble and dabble of SEO. However, we have a lot of other content on SEO that do a deeper dive. If you're looking for that, let us know and start a grind. We're also happy to do that with you. Okay, this is one of these gems that I absolutely love. Let me know, drop in the chat, have you heard about topic clusters before? Is this a brand new strategy? Is it something that is old hat for you? Drop it in the chat. All right, while you drop into the chat, let me kind of intro this for you. So we talked about the concept of how people search for you. Now we want to talk about how do you create content that works with a new SEO strategy. So how do you decide what you want to create and how do you do it in the most effective way possible? For those of you that asked about how do I generate awareness and interest in my product and how do I prioritize where I start, listen up, this is your moment. Now, in the chat, tell me, who has a blog and do you feel it's effective? All right. I see some questions in here. Tell me, who has a blog and do you feel it's effective? Don't leave me hanging up here. Come on, guys. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Steve's coming in to rescue me. All right. So phrase education groups. Okay. You have a blog and it can be more effective. All right. I hear that from a lot of people. Who else? Who else has a blog? Do you want it to be more effective? Is it hitting, where you want to? Drop it in. Let me know because we can help you here. But I can also give you tips if you don't go through blogging. And if you are creating content cluster, so this is talking about how do you create more content that gives you more bang for your buck. And we think about this through a topical lens. So in order to be seen as an authority on a topic, which is really important when you are a startup or a new service on the market, how do you get that credibility and authority? You need to create content that supports that. And then structure your website to link that individual content to your main topical source. And essentially, this is about prioritizing your content, who you write for, and organizing it on your site. Now, to give you an example of a way that this works, so you want to think about your pillar pages, this essential content. It might broadly cover a particular topic. And the cluster content coming out from this should address specific keywords related to that topic in depth. So for example, you might have a pillar page. It might be your blog, or it might just be your homepage. And it talks about content marketing. This is a broad topic. And then you might have a cluster on blogging. You might have a cluster on influencers. So pillar pages are longer than your typical blog post because they cover all aspects of that topic that you're trying to rank for, but they aren't as in-depth. That's what these cluster content pages are for. You want to create a pillar page that answers the questions about a particular topic, but leaves room for more detail in subsequent or related topics. So I'm going to go rogue. And I'm going to exit out of this for a second. And one of my favorite examples here is traffic safety cones. If you do a quick Google search for that. All right. So you have your ads. Let's ignore those. The first thing that shows up in organic search is this website. Note that it shows up before Amazon. Let's see who else is in here. Home Depot. These are some big ones. Amazon, Home Depot. I don't want to go up against their marketing budget. I don't know about you. Let's click in here. So this store, do we think that they have the budget of Amazon and Home Depot? Absolutely not. Why do they rank number one? Because they use a content clustering strategy. This is how you can rank on the topics that you want to by organizing your site in an effective way. This is how HubSpot organizes our site. And if you are stressed because you're like, man, I've already started creating content. HubSpot had 14,000 blogs when we figured out this strategy and we re-engineered our site. Now, their homepage is their pillar page, and it answers the questions that are most salient in their customers' minds and puts them in a place where you can find them. So what makes a cone legal for road use? When are these cones used? What are the cone sizes and the cone colors? So this is your pillar page, just showing a broad swath about all of these topics. But maybe you really want to delve in and learn more about orange cones. Cool. You click here, you go out to a pillar page, you learn more about orange cones. But everything links back here. And that is how a topic clustering strategy works. If you want to learn more about that, we just Google HubSpot topic clusters. You can go more in depth around that, but drop into the chat. Is this helpful content? Is it not? Have you heard of topic clustering before? Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about how do you choose your networks. We've talked about how do you actually organize your content, but now let's talk about distribution. Where does your persona live? Always go back to that persona and audience. So the idea of inbound is we want to create that content to answer questions that your buyer has in places where they already go for this information. To give you an example, a company that I think did this incredibly well as a startup, take PayPal. PayPal could have said, my ideal persona is anybody that's making purchases online. Cool. However, they honed in on eBay high-value sellers. Why? Because this is their target persona. These are the people that are not just going to use them fractionally, they're going to use them high value, high volume, and they're going to share out their best practices. They did not have the time to do a spray and pray mentality. That's the downside of not knowing your buyer persona. You're just throwing cash everywhere and seeing what sticks. And if you have the cash to do that, goddess bless you, but I do not. So the point of inbound is to be really targeted and use your resources and time where it is most useful, like PayPal and eBay. Now, when you are thinking about these channels, if you're posting on LinkedIn, would you want to post a picture? All right, cool. I'm seeing this is new. This is helpful. Love it. Thank you for the energy, people. Okay, would you post a picture on LinkedIn? Probably not. You want to post content to social media that fits the way the site is used. One, do not post the same content on all of your socials because people will unfollow you because I don't want to see your content in 5 places. We also have a session on social media skills for HubSpot. Feel free to look it up. We have great resources. For Facebook, this is a personal platform. People have the mindset they want to engage with friends. So this is a great place to be able to engage them with polls, with contests, with things where you are looking for that two-way street. For Instagram, it's the same thing. People want to see trends. They want to see fashion. They want to see the behind the scenes, the more intimate look. What's going on in your warehouse as you're shipping these out? Show me your unboxing video. Show me what it looks like to have you at a conference. And LinkedIn, you want to be thinking like, is my content educational? Is it informative? This is meant for thought leadership, not for sales. So make sure you are using your right channels for the right things. Okay. Your ads need to also be targeted to your buyer persona and where they are at in the buyer process and optimized to get results. Ads are great, but this should be, if I were to think about this, I would say SEO is your cake. This is the cake that you bake. Ads are the icing on top. Ads, you have to keep on putting money in the meter to get out. SEO has enduring value. So you need to be able to to fire on both cylinders. Now, when you are creating ads, look at, for example, this WordStream one. I love it. It shows the value proposition. And if it popped up on Facebook today, would you click on it? Some of you say yes, some of you say no. But if you're a marketing manager, you would click on it. So it's about targeting to your buyer persona. Don't just put it out in a broad swath. Go down to that nitty gritty Facebook audience that you can clone and repeat to make sure that you're putting it in front of the right people. And you want to make ads useful and relevant. Tell them your value prop up front and how you're going to help them. You can pay for the right to people's attention, but you still need to earn them or they are going to tune you out. Okay, get your fingers warmed up again. So we're going to talk about how do you convert your traffic. You know now who is a good fit for your business, how they can find you. Now you need to know who is actually qualified to buy. This is an essential formula we're going to delve into here. So you need to be able to add more value than you extract. Type in the chat, what would someone need to give you in order to get your email address? In order to get your email address, what does somebody need to offer? I mean, we're coming up on midterms. I know that a lot of people are being asked for their contact information. If you are in a swing state, poor you are getting barraged. Drop into the chat, what would somebody need to give you to get your email address? All right, a discount, totally. Maybe an online coupon, maybe an ebook. What else? All right, I see some other people upvoting this. Kendra, love your participation. Tip sheets, workbooks, guides. Thank you, Steve. Something that you're interested in learning more about. Cool. Look, low level. I'll give you my email for something in reciprocal. What would somebody need to give you to get your social security number? Drop that in the chat. This is a juicy one. All right, a job, totally. What else? What else to get your social security number? Maybe somebody, so if you become a vendor, a contractor, maybe somebody who's doing your taxes, absolutely. The key here is that if you want to extract more value, you need to add more value. If you want to get more personal information, you have to give a much higher value. So extracting, this could be, asking for an email for a sale or purchase. But when this is inverted, when we are asking for more than we are giving, that's when we see people fall off. And what I mean by that is very simply, I think one way that people lose a lot of traffic on their website is they might have a blog, but you give people no way to convert. You want to be able to give them a way to click, to be able to share their email, to share more, but in exchange for something. If you say, hey, I'll show you my blog post, but I need you to give me your name, your address, your email, people are going to be like, no, that's too much. I'm not going to do it. Because you're trying to extract more value than you're adding. So if you see people dropping off of your content, this is something that you should be thinking about. I'm going to give you an example now of how you can convert through landing pages, but also how you can start to automate, how you can convert from your website and how you can automate it. So landing pages, they are linked from blogs through a call to action. They give some sort of a content offer. And you want to make sure that that content offer is tailored to your persona. So whether if you're in B2B, maybe it's a white page, a testimonial, what is your persona actively looking for? And this is used to understand the intent of the lead. So it's not only about generating interest, but it's also about being able to qualify that lead so you can automate this process, figure out if they're a high intent lead or if they're low, so that way you can prioritize what's coming in. And you can see if it's working by the number of views and if they're giving you info that you value. So for this example, I have a friend who is a private vegan chef in the Boston area. We created a blog that had, 10 reasons to switch to a plant-based diet. At the end of the blog, we said, okay, if you would like to have some free recipes, click here. This is linked to her CRM. I created all of this for her within HubSpot within 1 week, a whole marketing funnel. It's not as hard as it looks. And it asks for some initial information, first, last, email. That way we can link them into the CRM and some initial questions to start qualifying these leads. Like, where do the majority of your meals come from? That way you know whether or not they are your target persona. Now, what happened next is that you have their email. Now, which you can do through HubSpot. Some of you guys were in HubSpot and you said, I want to go to this session to learn how I can use HubSpot more effectively to generate leads. Here you go. Pay attention. When they are going on to, now that we have their email, we're going to nurture them. We're going to send them a next blog post that's a little further down the funnel. Maybe it's something like, what are our top, meal kits and, ways to be able to access plant-based foods for people that are busy professionals. You're not selling yet. You're not putting your solution out there, but you're giving them content to answer questions that they may have. And you're saying, hey, if you were interested in this first blog post, I think you'd be interested in this next one. Check it out. And now you send them this and you give them another opportunity to convert. And through smart forms on HubSpot, you don't have to fill out any of this because we don't want to extract more value than we're added, but it will automatically say, oh, I know who you are. Let me also find out where you live because I am not going to be able to service anybody outside of the Boston area. And to find out if you have the budget to be able to spend on my product. Then I have more info. I'm able to nurture them with that next blog post of how do you select, what are questions you should ask when hiring a private chef or something like that. Something a little closer to that end of funnel piece. Now, that is one way to convert through landing pages. That part is important, but I would also say that's kind of going to the wayside. Our younger generations, they want to convert through chatbots. You can easily set up a chatbot. I set this one up in 15, maybe 20 minutes, and it helps to ask qualifying questions that will all feed into the CRM, and then you can automate your follow-up based on this. So once you get all this information and somebody says, hey, I eat out, I spend X budget, I'm in the Boston area, it can ping you with an alert to say, okay, this person is interested, let's go reach out and schedule a consultation. But this is another way where you can gather information, especially if you're a busy professional, you're on the road, you're wearing multiple hats, you don't have a marketing and sales team behind the desk. This is another way to do it. All right, hopefully you are, yes, Moroccan couscous. It's a great dish. And now let's talk about how do you automate this closing process? Flying through here. Okay, I talked a little bit about how do we nurture that automation. People get overwhelmed and they think, I have to have a ton of content to be able to create this nurturing flow. You don't. I set up this nurturing flow with 3 different blog posts and 3 different offers. You can do it. You can build out from there. You can build out your topic clusters. You can do more, but you just need a couple to get you started. And then as you build out different personas, you're going to want to create different funnels for them. And then you want to be able to use automation to close your customers. This is a big reason why I highly suggest that you have your sales and your marketing tool integrated. I would love if it's on HubSpot. If it's not, please do it anyhow. Because when I was a founder and also when I worked in sales and marketing both, there's always this tension between sales and marketing where sales is like, why did I get this lead? How are they qualified? And marketing is like, I gave you this great lead. Why didn't you work it? They need to work off of the same set of information and be able to respond like that. Because 30 to 50% of deals simply go to whoever responds first. It's great to get them awareness of your website, but you need to be able to be responsive. Okay. We talked about how to convert your traffic, how to figure out who's good for your business, how they can find you, who's qualified to buy. Now, how do you know if any of this is actually working? These are some examples from within HubSpot. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you are a member of Startup Grind, you're eligible for anywhere from 30 to 90% off our software. But you want to be able to check your SEO and be able to see how is your traffic trending over time. Are your strategies actually working? And then be able to dig down into a cross section to figure out, is your traffic coming from paid search? Is it coming from organic? Is it coming from social? Because then you know where to invest more of your time. Again, startup founder, multiple hats, less time, less money. You need to double down on the things that are going to get you the most ROI and the tools that are going to give you the best insights to be able to get those actionable plans as soon as possible. That also would include doing things like tracking your audience, your published posts, your clicks. You need to have the data to know if your strategy is working, including an email. So this is an example from within HubSpot. Granted, we're not the only one that does this, but you want to be able to track your open rate, your click-through rate. Maybe you have a newsletter, you sent it out, you pat yourself on the back. Did you waste your time or not? If you see that you have a low click rate, then you know that there's something in your subject heading or that first line of text that shows up in the preview that's not engaging them. Fix that. If you see that you have a high open rate but a low click-through rate, then whatever you're offering within the context of that email is not compelling enough. And that's where you need to fix. Data is king. Now, that was an ambitious agenda. Let's talk about some takeaways, and then we're going to go into some Q&A. So first of all, the inbound methodology, this is how you create, you attract, you engage, you delight your customers. You bring them in rather than interrupting them. Personas are how you create content and figure out where that content should live. SEO needs to be focused on phrases, not just keywords. And topic clusters is a great way of organizing your content and optimizing your SEO strategy. And lastly, don't forget the email versus social security number. You need to add more value than you extract. And we will end with a quote from our founder. To grow your business, you must match the way you market your products with the way your prospects learn and shop for your products. Okay. I have gone through quite a lot here. I am going to drop some of these links into the chat. We're going to open up Q&A. And I am also going to bring on my colleague, Walter, to engage with you as well as I drop some of these links in the chat. Thank you.
Hi, Kelsey. Yeah, awesome job. Very informative. Thanks for sharing your awesome insight. So we do have a couple questions. So we have a question from Shuri. How can you attract and get more engagement from zero when you are starting a business?
So where I would start with is a good SEO strategy. I think that you can take this, looking at, creating those 3 blog posts, creating ways to nurture them. And I mean, depending on your business, I think that would be a great way to start. Start with your basic website and start with your buyer persona, and then figure out where do they live and create that specific content there. And it's just something that you're going to build on over time.
Awesome. Thank you. Question from Amar. How do you get quality leads for a B2B software service business? Or what are some best practices for that?
Great question. And also, Walter, feel free to jump in. Walter is an amazing expert and also Techstars alum. But yeah, if you want to jump in with this one, I'm happy to.
Yeah. Let me put my email. I think that would be a good one to do offline because there's some best practices we could share. I think that'd be awesome. So I'll put my email in the chat and let's definitely connect afterwards. Question for Hannah. We're an ed tech startup. How can we leverage HubSpot for lead generation?
Yeah. So also I would add on the B2B SaaS, I think you can use a lot of these same strategies. So in the B2B space, we think that, that like social and everything, maybe you're not going to be using like Facebook or Instagram as much, but LinkedIn might be your friend. And you want to be able to, you can still create blog content and pillar pages and topic clusters, all of the same stuff within the B2B space. It's just that you're going to be speaking to a different audience and you're going to have a more tailored persona. So you can still use these pieces. Walter, and what was the second question?
It was how can we leverage HubSpot for lead generation?
Absolutely. So there is a lot of different things you can do with HubSpot, but I think the main piece is there's so many different tools, but they come in building blocks. So you can start with like sales, the free version, then you can go on to starter, which is like your basic stuff, and pro is automation level. So you can just sign up for what you need to use at the time. But for an ed tech startup, I would say you can use a lot of these same strategies. We also have a full suite of social media tools. So if you're B2C especially, you can schedule everything through HubSpot. You can manage your engagement. But the important thing here, I think, is that everything relates back to your CRM. Where I see people make a lot of mistakes is that they don't have a central record. And then they are collecting info, but it's not feeding into any one place where you can trigger actions from it. So for any of you on here who don't have a CRM, that's where I would start. Also, HubSpot's CRM is free. There's no reason to not organize yourself.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks, Kelsey. And then last question from Steve. If future consumers are trending towards chatbots to make their decision, should we spend fewer resources on classic assets like landing pages? What are other frontier marketing tech should we be using?
That is a great question. I'll answer part of it, and Walter, if you want to add any other pieces. I think it depends on your persona. So I think chatbots are helpful and important, and it's something that comes with our software. It's easy to use and set up. However, if you have a very traditional, older user base that you might be reaching out to, if you move away from landing pages and other things, then it could be hard. Also, those landing pages and that blog content strategy, that is part of how you generate interest and get them to come to your website. And chatbots can be part of that, but chatbots are also part of your conversion funnel. So you want to still make sure that you are getting your interest out there to be able to track them to what you're doing. And then chatbots are a conversion feature. But I wouldn't necessarily just put everything else to the side. I don't think that's where we're at yet.
Yeah, I agree on that too. I would, part of that is you could add chatbots to the landing pages, like Kelsey was sharing. So you could add, on top of that. So, yeah, thanks for all the awesome questions. And I think that's all we have time for today.
Yep, and I dropped my LinkedIn into the chat. If anybody wants to connect, happy to do so. And Walter, if you have the coda, we can drop in how they can apply for their discount.
All right, awesome. Cool. All right. Thanks, Darshan, for your time. Anything else? Anybody else? Any questions or anything else?
Yep. Thank you so much, Kelsey and Walter. It has been an amazing session. Loved it. Every minute of it. I was just taking a lot of notes as much as possible. And I did feel like, I was in my university with a favorite professor. As you mentioned, Kelsey, that you love everything. So love those insights, simple, clear examples. We could see how easy to follow all those insights and nuggets are. So thank you so much again for your time today and showering us with all these insights. Really glad to have you with us today. And yep, see you soon.
Thank you. We're a huge fan of Startup Grind and excited to continue to support.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Means a lot.